Hey everybody, JCB here at The Awesomeness, and you're watching The Awesomeness YouTube channel. So I'm here in my classroom, it's after work, and I got a notification on my phone earlier today that there is a new trailer for another Ghostbusters movie. Now, I had heard that this was coming somewhat. I know that it's a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 2, that it ignores Ghostbusters 2016, and that it has Paul Rudd in it. Those are all things that sound like great ideas, though I still feel like it's probably a bad idea to make Ghostbusters 3 or any other Ghostbuster-based media at this point. But since I did a reaction video for the 2016 movie, I figured I should do one for this too. So here we go. Alright, so I'm going to be doing a lot of talking and pausing throughout this video because if I remember correctly, last time when I did the 2016 trailer, it ended up getting flagged for copyright because there was like a little section that was just a little too long where I wasn't talking. And so that was basically like their reasoning behind basically flagging it because I wasn't making it transformative enough, I guess. So there'll be more commentary on this one for sure. For instance, this is the first shot of the trailer. It fades in from black to this shot that looks absolutely gorgeous, just absolutely beautiful, cool, like El Camino or Ranchero probably, driving down the road next to this big beautiful canyon. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's watch this thing.
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
Honestly,
Oh, it's a kid from Stranger Things. He's really popular right now.
my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke. And the only thing that's left in our name is this creepy old farmhouse.
I'm thinking relatives of Egon.
So our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. But
Sounds like something Egon would do. Has like an old house that he knows is haunted, using that for paranormal investigation. Happens to own it in his will. He just leaves everything to his family.
why'd you bring me up here?
Entertainment value?
What is that?
I don't know.
Somehow, a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate, that has no fault lines, no fracking, no loud music even,
Paul Rudd being as Paul Ruddiest.
is shaking on a daily basis.
So I want to point out this this stack of books. This is a big clue that there's been paranormal activity here for sure. You see it again there.
Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
I found this in my living room.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is Egon's house. I'm also gonna say that Paul Rudd is like a geologist who went to this town specifically because there's rumbling, and that's why he's there. But he's probably from a bigger city or something like that, so he's kind of the fish out of water. Nobody really is like his friend or anything. And then these people like befriend him during this crisis of paranormal activity that Egon was probably studying. These are my predictions, just based off of how screenplays tend to work and how Hollywood movies tend to work. And sadly, the very late, great Harold Ramis is gone, which is one of the main reasons I think they shouldn't make any more Ghostbuster stuff, just because he was such a huge part of crafting the original script and making it what it was, you know, taking Dan Aykroyd's crazy, way wacky out there ideas and making them something that's closer to home and something that people can actually relate to and enjoy. With him gone, it just seems impossible to make something good. Well, let's keep watching.
Killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap?
Maybe Paul Rudd's a teacher. Looks like he's a teacher. Maybe he's teaching geology. Maybe he's like doing geology as like a hobby. Yeah, Jason Reitman is Ivan Reitman's son. Ivan Reitman was the director of the original Ghostbusters. It seems like a good idea. I'm not a huge fan of any of Ivan Reitman's films. I mean, Jason Reitman's films. Huge fan of Ivan Reitman's films. Not a huge fan of Jason Reitman's films. Don't know if he's the right man for the job.
There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. You York in the 80s. It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom. My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I knew it. Called it, Spangler. I knew it.
Call it fate. Call it luck. Call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
That's such a cheap trick to get in our nostalgia feels all wound up. Ah, Venkman. So I feel like that is the old hellhound gargoyles. Should have looked like its foot. Should have sounded like its growl. Why they're in this movie, I don't know. Like, seems odd. They were gargoyles. Part of that building specifically. Is this a return of Gozer? Is that what the story is? I don't know. It's weird. I also don't understand the dirt reference. Although I think all these cars were used to take parts from so they could rebuild Ecto 1.
Come on, darling.
Add on to it.
It has a gunner seat?
Hold on. Gotta do it. I think I saw Slimer. I'm just checking. Not Slimer. Looks kind of like one of the Zelensky brothers.
The Scoleri brothers!
Zelensky brothers.
Scoleri brothers!
So the trailer is way better than the 2016 trailer, which was like, look at our ghosts, they're blue people, and like our gross out comedy and all this stuff. Like, this feels closer to a Ghostbusters movie. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be bad. At least it's not like Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen and Star-Lord, whatever his freaking name is, I can't remember, Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec, like just like applying for the job and getting like, oh, we're the new Ghostbusters, haha, and then it's all just the same stupidity that we saw in 2016, but with guys. Like, that was my worst fear. This seems to be more of let's Stranger Things this. Let's make it where kids are on an adventure. It's the same problem 2016 had. Two problems, really. The first is, let's take Ghostbusters and just switch it, right? So instead of it's guys, it's girls now. And now it's, instead of it's guys, it's kids now. Like, it's that kind of problem where it's never going to live up to the original. And then there's the problem that I mentioned in my Why Not Ghostbusters video, which I feel like I might need to do a sequel to, which is Ghostbusters was lightning in a bottle. It was this movie that everything you could possibly think could go wrong with the project was going wrong with the project, from not knowing whether or not Bill Murray would show up to set, to them having to shoot double scenes for Ghostbusters versus Ghost Breakers, to just everything. They didn't know how they were going to do the special effects when they started a movie that was very heavily relying on special effects, and then kept adding special effects shots to the movie as it was going along. And a lot of the special effects stuff was done last minute. And for the first time, it was like, here's something to check this out, see if you guys like it. And then that was in the movie. So it was one of those things where you had these four specific people, three of whom were at the top of their game, stars of Saturday Night Live, in New York City in the 80s, which was, like I said in my last video, I won't make you watch it again. It was a different place. It was a very specific time period in that specific city with those specific people at that specific point in their career came together to make this movie, much of which was ad-libbed and kind of done on the fly in a way you can't really do now. That's what made it special. And it didn't need a sequel. And Ghostbusters 2 proves that you can't just replicate the formula and get the same kind of thing, because even Ghostbusters 2 is not as good as Ghostbusters 1. And maybe if the first one didn't exist, Ghostbusters 2 would be considered a huge classic that everybody loves, just as its own thing. But Ghostbusters does exist. And so it's hard to create something that good again, you know? And it's I feel like they were so lucky getting it right that first time that there's just no way to do that again. And I'm not saying like I'm closed-minded to them making a good movie. Like, I feel like this could be a good movie. It has potential, at least. It feels like closer to the tone of the original, but also very much feels like a spin-off. Like, this is a movie that takes place in the Ghostbusters universe, as opposed to being a straight-up sequel to a Ghostbusters movie. It feels more like a Rogue One type of story, more so than a direct sequel. And that could work. That could be, maybe that's how you do this. Maybe you completely branch out and just establish that there is still supernatural activity happening, and you go in a completely different direction from there. Maybe that's how you handle this sort of thing. I just don't see it living up to that first movie. Even if you do have Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson all returning for their roles and not just quick cameos, even if you have that, it's not going to be the same. It's just not. It wasn't the same, 5 years later in Ghostbusters 2. It's not the same now, all this time later. What is it? Jeez, 35 years later? I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I feel like this is one of those things that doesn't need to happen, and they're really forcing it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think. I'm going to be open-minded about it, I guess. And we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters. I'll base that decision on future trailers, other information that might come out. There's lots of leaks in this day and age. Lots of information gets out there about movies and production and what's going on. And you can't trust all of it, obviously. Like, I'm not saying take that stuff at face value, but sometimes you see an article or you hear something and it rings true for you, and so you kind of take that into consideration of whether or not it seems right. So if this turns out to be something stupid, then I'll wait till it's on DVD. Otherwise, I might go see it in theaters. I don't know. Depends on what it looks like as we get closer. We still got all the way till summer. All kinds of stuff could come out between now and then, so I'll stay open-minded for now. Anyway, what do you think of the trailer? Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as I release new videos all the time. So until next time, keep being awesome.